Halloween night isn't just about costumes and candy. It's the one night spirits awaken, when shadows stretch too far, and when forgotten things stir. Dolls, innocent toys by day, become vessels of something sinister once the veil is thin. Tonight, we'll uncover 3 disturbing tales of haunted dolls on Halloween night. Beware, every giggle, every shuffle, every painted eye you see might not be just your imagination.
Emily's grandmother's house was the kind that looked haunted even in daylight, its wallpaper peeling, its wooden beams creaking like whispers. She was told from childhood never to enter the attic, a rule her grandmother never explained. But on Halloween night, curiosity outweighed fear. The attic door, always locked, stood ajar as if inviting her in. The moment she entered, the smell of dust and mildew wrapped around her. Old trunks, broken mirrors, and torn family portraits filled the room. And then she saw it, sitting upright on a cracked rocking chair, a porcelain doll in a faded lace dress. Its painted cheeks had worn away, exposing grey porcelain beneath. One glass eye was missing, leaving a hollow socket. When Emily brushed it off, a shiver jolted her spine. She set the doll down and hurried out, locking the attic behind her. But when she stepped into her room later that night, she froze. The doll was already sitting on her desk, its hollow eye reflecting the moonlight. Emily's heart thudded. She tried to laugh it off, whispering, "Grandma must have moved it." But her grandmother was asleep. The room fell silent until, tap, tap, tap. Tiny footsteps circled her bed. The doll now sat on the floor, head tilted unnaturally far to the side. Then came a giggle, soft, high-pitched, broken, as if from a child's throat long gone dry. She tried to escape, but her door wouldn't open. Something tugged at her blanket, yanking it slowly. A cold breath brushed her ear, and a voice whispered, "Stay forever." The next morning, her grandmother found her bed perfectly made. No Emily. Just the doll tucked under the blanket, its smile cracked wider than before. And in the attic, a new portrait appeared on the wall, Emily's face, painted in lifeless grey. Lena hated her part-time job at the antique shop. Every item felt like it carried whispers of the dead. On Halloween, her boss left early, asking her to close. As she cleaned, she noticed a crate tucked in the shadows. Its wood was carved with strange runes that seemed to shimmer in candlelight. Inside lay a wooden doll with hollow eye sockets, its limbs jointed crudely like a puppet. Its mouth was carved into a jagged grimace. As she stared, she heard it, "Play with me." The whisper was faint, but sharp, like nails on glass. She slammed the crate shut and rushed home. That night, Lena entered her room to find the doll perched on her dresser. Terrified, she shoved it into her closet and locked the door. But at 3 a.m., knock, knock, knock. The closet door trembled. The lock snapped, and the doll emerged, taller now, its joints snapping, tar dripping from its sockets. The black tar spread across her floor, crawling into shapes like hands reaching upward. The doll's wooden fingers gripped her wrist, splinters digging deep. Its voice boomed louder now, "Play with me forever." Lena tried to scream, but her reflection appeared in its hollow sockets, staring back at her, eyes wide in terror. The tar rose higher, drowning her room in oily darkness. Her lights flickered until they burst, plunging everything into black. The last thing Lena felt was the doll's wooden mouth press against her face, swallowing her scream. By morning, her parents found her room empty, the walls streaked with tar-like stains. The doll was gone. But weeks later, a crate arrived at the antique shop. Inside sat the same doll, only now its sockets glowed faintly, and within them were Lena's real eyes, wet and blinking. Mason and his friends adored Halloween. They darted door to door, their bags heavy with sweets. At the end of the street loomed the Marrow House, abandoned for decades. Its shutters dangled loose, weeds choked the lawn, and no one ever dared ring its doorbell. But on this night, a single lantern burned faintly on the porch. Beside it sat a basket with a handwritten sign, "Take one treat." The basket was filled not with candy, but a single rag doll dressed as a witch. Mason, laughing nervously, picked it up, but when he looked inside, the basket was empty. No candy. Just the doll. He tossed it aside and ran. But the doll appeared again, perched on a fence, crouched by a gravestone decoration, even tucked inside a jack-o'-lantern with its button eyes glowing from the candle's fire. His friends thought he was imagining things. But when Mason checked his bag later, every candy was gone. At the bottom lay the doll, clutching a lollipop in its tiny stitched hand. That night, unable to sleep, Mason hid under his blanket. Hours later, a sound pulled him awake: crunch, crunch, crunch. On his desk, the doll sat in the candy bowl, chewing chocolate with a cracked porcelain tongue, wrappers torn around it. When it looked at him, its button eyes rolled upward like real human eyes. Mason screamed, but the doll leapt onto his bed, climbing his chest, its stitched grin splitting wider. His parents rushed in at the sound, only to find the room empty. The doll lay neatly on his pillow, grinning with Mason's real teeth sewn into its mouth. "16-year-old Jake and his friends visited the traveling carnival that came through town every Halloween. The games were rigged, the rides rickety, but the prizes fascinated him. At one booth, the prize shelf held a stuffed doll with button eyes and a stitched grin, its head cocked unnaturally. The carny whispered, "Win, and she's yours." Jake managed to knock down the bottles and proudly carried the doll home. That night, as he dropped it on his chair, he swore he heard a faint giggle. Hours later, while lying in bed, he felt something soft crawl over his chest. When he opened his eyes, the doll was perched on him, button eyes glowing faintly. He tossed it across the room, but when he turned over, it was already back in bed with him. His door slammed shut on its own. Then came scratching noises on his walls, spelling out words, "Play now." The doll grew restless. Its stitched grin tore wider, stuffing spilling from its mouth like jagged teeth. It lunged, clawing at his skin with sharp threads. Jake tried to scream, but the carnival music began to play faintly in his room, echoing through the dark. By morning, his bed was empty. The doll sat smiling on the pillow, clutching a carnival ticket stub soaked in fresh blood. Weeks later, kids swore they saw the same doll among the carnival prizes again, waiting for the next winner. On Halloween night, 12-year-old Clara had no plans to trick or treat. Her birthday fell on October 31st, and her parents surprised her with a special gift: a beautiful porcelain doll with golden curls and a crimson velvet dress. Clara named it Rosabelle. That evening, her friends gathered for cake and games. They laughed when Clara placed Rosabelle at the table, saying the doll was her special guest. But as the night went on, strange things began happening. One friend swore the doll blinked. Another insisted its lips moved as if whispering. Clara laughed nervously and brushed it off. When midnight struck, the candles blew out on their own. The room grew icy. From the shadows came a childlike giggle, though none of the girls had laughed. They turned toward the table. Rosabelle was gone. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and the doll stood in the corner, holding the cake knife in its porcelain hands. Its glass eyes glinted with malice. The girls screamed and ran upstairs, barricading themselves in Clara's room. They heard small, deliberate footsteps climbing the stairs, dragging something sharp against the wall. One by one, the footsteps stopped outside each girl's hiding spot. Clara trembled, clutching her blanket. When silence fell, she dared to peek. The doll sat at the foot of her bed, knife balanced on its lap. Its velvet dress was now stained dark, and its porcelain smile stretched wider than before. By morning, Clara's parents found her room empty, the blankets soaked with crimson. Only Rosabelle remained, sitting neatly on the bed, clutching Clara's birthday crown in her cracked hands.